Welcome to Fresh Off the Board. My name is Arjun Seth, and today my guest is Shivani Agarwal, a student I met before she was leaving for University of Chicago way back in 2013. That seems like eons ago now. Uh, I know, Shivani, your journey to University of Chicago and then pursuing law subsequently from University of Chicago will be fascinating to hear for our audiences, mostly high school students and also current college students. So the first question to you was that obviously you applied and you probably had overlapping schools. You had certain expectations when you finally chose to go to attend University of Chicago. How was it like in the first few weeks, months of not just settling in, but figuring out where you were, what you were doing?
Yeah, I think it is definitely a little bit unnerving to go to such a Chicago is not that large, but it is still 1,500 to 1,700 students a year, as compared to like a small, very cozy high school where you know everybody and you've like been there for 14 years. So it is a bit unnerving. I would say in the beginning, settling in can be challenging, and I think that anybody who has gone to any school in the US has had that experience where you're kind of swimming for a couple of months, and I think that that's just normal. Like, you have to know that that's normal when you go, and that it will take some time to settle in, and you just have to, I don't know, like, keep trying. And not get discouraged by the fact that things are a little more unfamiliar than maybe you would have expected. I think the things that really worked for me about Chicago is that it was in a city, and I don't. I'm sure there are many people who are going to slightly more rural colleges, and those have their own charm. But for me, I'm a city person, and I'm happy that I made the call to go to Chicago, where the campus is really nice and private, and kind of cut off from the city. But also, you can take a 15-minute like Uber and be in the city, which is nice. Um, and in terms of settling in, I think it's helpful to find the people that you feel comfortable with in the beginning of college, and also academically settle in. It's important to understand that even though it's a US university where people expect you to be a lot more adult than you are used to being and figure out things on your own, it's still a good idea to go and reach out to your professors proactively, because if you do reach out to them and establish relationships with them, they will guide you through the process, and it'll make you feel a lot more at home and more in control of your academic life also. Because personally, I know from not just my experience but the experience of all the other international students I interacted with at UChicago, everybody's really used to doing well in school, and they don't take it well when you don't get a good grade in college, which is definitely going to happen. So it's good to have to have relationships with your professors to contextualize things so that you don't feel like
Wonderful.
floating.
I know you went to an all girls school. You mentioned 14 years there at Modern High School in Kolkata. Uh, and now you're in a fairly liberal setting in a university in the US. How was it adapting to a very different pace of life and the different lenses people looked at gender, or the way you sort of reacted initially, and how did you adapt quickly to what's out there?
Honestly, I feel like a lot of people think that going to the US is some sort of culture shock, and the whole like, oh, like there's a lot more drinking, partying, all of that. I didn't really feel that culture shock so much, because I don't think that the way life in Indian cities is now is that different or anything. Like, so and U Chicago is also not a party school, so maybe I'm not the best person to ask that question to, because like campus life is a bit dead because it is cold a lot of the year. So campus life is not as buzzing as I know it is at like state schools, or even like schools which are just in warmer climates. Like, I know Duke is a lot more lively than U Chicago can be sometimes, but um, I don't think that was a culture adjustment for me at all. Like, it was fine. Like, it was different. I was used to this all girl setup, and then it wasn't like that, but that was fine with me personally. I think the bigger culture adjustment in the US is that it is a lot more individualistic than India. People in India tend to do everything together, and that's something I really like, and I was really used to. And I didn't like, sometimes your friends are busy and you have to eat lunch alone, and I was really thrown off by that. But that is how the US is sometimes. So I think that is the culture adjustment, and you kind of have to be okay with being a little more independent than you may be used to being in India.
Okay, so reflecting on, academics a lot more now since you've done history as a major, but I'm not sure if you went decided. How did your journey pan out? UChicago is obviously this hotbed, as in sort of make students hot-headed with all the academic work that they have to do. What was your journey like?
So I was pretty keen on studying history when I went into Chicago, and that stayed constant because it was even though in Chicago in particular, it's very hard to resist the urge to become an econ major because everybody around you is an econ major, and everybody around you talks, basically about how being an econ major at Chicago is the greatest thing ever. But I think that you really need to focus on what you want out of college and what you want to learn from your experience there, because being in the US is hard, and it's a lot of work. So you want to put that work into something that gets you the rewards that you want. For me, I took a lot of econ classes. It didn't work out so well for me, just in terms of the fact that it was a bit dry. I didn't think that the teaching was as involved as it was in history, where you have these really awesome professors who are 60 and 70 years old, but they are amazing. I would, as a random base level tip, I would say that in a department like history or English, go for the older professors over the younger professors. I found that my experience with them was much better. A lot of them had lived through the world wars or something, so they had many things to say that a perspective I would not have gotten elsewhere.
Now, like what you could say, Professor Shivani later on is we lived through the pandemic. But
Yeah.
yeah, interesting times. More on that later, and about how you are adjusting to it. I know about the graduation being not called off, but now being done remotely. We'll talk about that. But what is a history major? Like, how do you explain to a student who loves history, reads history, watches documentaries all the time, also reads historic fiction?
Yeah.
What is it that you studied? And of course, it's such a vast subject in terms of eras, geographies, political ideologies, all of that. How do you define the path to studying history to a student who's really passionate about it?
Yeah, so I would say that you in the beginning you're going to be floating a little. You'll take a couple of classes in different time periods, in different uh, in geographies, and in the beginning you will be floating for a bit. But take all those classes, so get the wide sampling that you need, because a lot of history is just being able to see how things in the world are moving, and being able to make your own connections between those things. So take classes in different areas, and then once you sort of see what you have an inclination towards, then just start taking more classes in that area. So the way that Chicago history worked is that I could take 14 classes in whatever I wanted in the history department, but I had to choose about 6 to 8 classes within those 14 classes, which would have a common theme running towards them. And that theme can be anything. It can be like the 1900s, or it can be like the 1900s in Europe, or it can be like an intellectual theme like the history of science, or you can have the history of pandemics, whatever you want. There has to be some sort of coherent theme around it. And the year I graduated from Chicago, it was required to do a thesis, and I think that really makes the major much richer. They did away with that requirement, and I think most colleges have done away with that requirement, and it's become an elective thing. But if you're going to be a history major, I think without the thesis, it's kind of
So, what was your topic in your thesis?
so my history thesis was actually on Kashmir. So it was on how the media has portrayed Kashmir, not the news media, but like how Kashmir is popularly seen in India through movies and also the media, and how that may have created a skewed perception of the region over the years, and how there is an idea of what it means to be Kashmiri that is historically grounded, that is not coming through in that portrayal. So that is what my thesis was about. And people do that thesis on the most like random things. You just have to go and find a faculty advisor for your thesis, and then work with them to write about that. The only tip I have for that is you have to pick something you're passionate about, because you're going to spend a year with it. So
Fascinating. I also wanted to get to know a little bit about the earlier point that you made, that you found professors who were older, who had richer experiences to share on topics like history. So, which ones really inspired you? If you could identify
yeah.
the classes you took that were fantastic and got you thinking more deeply about history.
So I had a professor who taught the World Wars and just Europe in the early 1900s, and he was a German guy who had come to U Chicago, and he was really old. I think he retired the year after I left, and he was probably in his late 70s, 80s, and he used to tell us stories about how he could see, hear the planes, the aircrafts that were involved in the war over his house in Germany when he was there during the Second World War. And his just way of teaching was extremely I don't know, he's not like telling you dates and facts. He's giving you ideas in ways that like you'll carry those ideas home with you and you'll think about that. And history is so different from what we learn in school to what you should actually be doing with it. Is very, and U Chicago is really good at that. They only make you read primary sources. So and then you build your own conclusions from that. And this professor was really good at that. He would like assign us letters that people had written in Germany at that time, or primary sources like that. So then you build your own ideas and arguments from that. And then I had this other professor who was, I think because he was older, he was less concerned about being super demanding. A lot of the younger professors in US colleges, for better or for worse, think that you need to be protected a lot from getting bad feedback. And I don't think that that's a, personally for me, that doesn't work, because if somebody doesn't give me bad feedback, I think I'm doing great. And this professor was really good at just telling you how he saw it. So he was like, this is rubbish. Like, you should go look at it again, go redo it. And it can be hard to hear that, but I think that it really helps you work on your skills. And he would, he literally told us that like, write whatever you want for your final paper. I'm not giving you a topic. And like, honestly, that may sound like good to you, but it's not good. Like, it's a very directionless way to go. And I was carting around like 13 heavy books around campus for 10 days trying to figure out what I was writing about. And it was a real struggle to write that paper, but it was a very productive struggle. And I think older professors are more likely to push you like that than younger ones.
So we are living in historic times now, and historians are probably a very excited lot at this time. But very often we associate history, historians, everyone to the past. What do you know about being an historian? And in these times, what would, if you were a historian, if you kind of almost are, what would excite you to collect facts, information, primary sources of information during times of COVID?
So, I mean, there are a lot of historians who actually do work on this, because, like, they work on the history of pandemics or the history of science, and it's kind of a different take. Because, like, right now you'll be hearing a lot from like virologists and epidemiologists and doctors and scientists and economists on like what is going to happen to us. But historians offer a very different take, or of course, because like a lot of them have done detailed work on the Spanish flu and how things passed out then. And you'll be surprised to see how much of that influences current day policy. Like, the idea of a quarantine is not like some new concept we came up with, right? Like, it was implemented, perhaps not at this scale, but people definitely did that earlier. And historians give you a very different perspective on how that stuff plays out now. So I guess, and I think the history of science is actually, some colleges offer it as a separate major. I know U Chicago does, and it's definitely cool. It's probably harder than doing a pure history major, because you do have to do a lot of science also. But in retrospect, I kind of wish I'd done it.
Fantastic. So good to sort of hear this from you, because sometimes people think that history has no purpose. You end up becoming a professor, which is not a bad thing altogether. But you think U Chicago education helps you just become a better learner, or any good college's education? And it doesn't matter that you've studied history, and the fact that you're now moving towards actually just about completing your law school degree. What was the connection you saw with history and then choosing to do law?
So I would say that about U Chicago, I don't know another college that deeply, but in the undergrad, it's very rigorous. You have to study a lot. I'm like not trying to paint a rosy picture at all. You will spend many days miserably in the library. A lot of it is going to be very stressful, and professors give you more work than you can humanly do, or like you would imagine you would be able to do. So you do a lot of difficult reading. You have to submit a lot of papers in which they want original thought. I once had like a bad grade on a paper, and I was like, what is the problem with this paper? And they were like, you're not adding anything new to the world of academia. And I was like, I am like 20 years old. I'm not supposed to be adding anything new right now. But those are the expectations. So I think it really pushes you to challenge yourself, and then also learn how to like sort of collate information independently without having a textbook written for you that you just kind of memorize, which is what tends to happen to us a lot in India. And I definitely see the link between having done my undergrad at U Chicago and being able to cope with law school. Like I have I'm used to having to read a lot in a short period of time. I'm used to having to process that information quickly. And I think those are the two big skills that any major in a college in which you try to challenge yourself will give you. And those are the skills you should try to get also. Like it's not, I don't think that, I mean, unless you're in something that is more specialized, perhaps like certain STEM majors, but outside of that, in the humanities or in econ, those are the sort of skills you should chase.
So was there a specific reason why you chose the path of law, studying law?
I think it was always a thought in my mind that this is something I would do. I was always really interested in debate and MU, and I did a bunch of it in school and some in college. And a lot of being a lawyer is being able to write well and research well. So those are things that my history major definitely equipped me for. And I always wanted to come back to India and do public interest litigation in the Supreme Court. So that has been my vague dream since the time I was like, I don't know, 15, 16. And so that's why I wanted to be a lawyer. People want to be a lawyer for a bunch of different reasons. There are
Wonderful. How was it like those? Like, you have moot courts. What is the general law school curriculum pan out to be for 3 years that you were there? How is it like?
So law school actually in the US is very different from in India. In India, you have a lot of moot courts, so you get a lot of this sort of practical courtroom experience. In the US, cases don't tend to go to trial as much, so lawyers don't spend a lot of time in courtrooms in the US. So the law school experience is not focused so much on public speaking and on moot courts. It's just focused on you reading case law and learning how to think like a lawyer. At least at U Chicago, it's like that. I think Yale is also like that. A couple of law schools have slightly different philosophy on what they teach you, but that's what the experience is like. It's very academics heavy. Nobody cares about extracurriculars in law school for the large part. Uh, Kind of need to be studying your butt off at least for the first year. Then you recruit for your job, and the second and third year is a lot more relaxed. It's depends a lot on what you make it to.
And how does it how does U Chicago Law School prepare you for the professional world? Of course, there are
Yeah.
professors who might be practitioners, of course, but in terms of alumni networks, placement meets, and networking events, what do typically students use as resources at law school?
Yeah, so recruitment is a large part of law school, honestly, because graduate school is not like undergrad. It's not as idealistic. So people are there for a purpose, and I would say that the top six law schools all set you up really well for jobs. You will have more offers than there will be more offers than the number of students. You have to work hard. You can't let your grades slip in law school. But if your grades are in place, your offers will be fine. In August, after your first year ends, a bunch of law firms come on campus. This happens at like top six and even the top 14 law schools. I think that all the law firms in the country send people to that law school, and you can basically go and interview with whoever you want. So you will definitely get your first round interview. I had like 30 plus first round interviews. I could just walk into the room and do the interview, and then you will get callbacks depending on how your behavioral went with them, your interview went with them. And typically people end up with 5 or 6 offers to one student, and you are able to choose where you want to go. So I think that professionally, as long as you study in law school, you're going to be just fine. They have it laid out on a silver platter for you. On It's not as messy as undergrad recruiting can be.
Great. So in terms of, there are certain clusters. Some law schools are known for, say, human rights law or something else. What is U Chicago known for? Is it kind of influenced by its strong economics program?
Yeah, so Chicago is really known, the law school is really known for its law and econ program. And so they like how incentive structures can align with laws that you make, which is how their law and econ programs overlap. So there's a lot of intellectual focus on that in a bunch of classes, which is very atypical of how you'll be taught that same subject matter in other law schools. So they just teach it through an econ lens. You can like that, you cannot like that. I was a bit bored of that approach after undergrad because I'd had 4 years of it, but that is their hallmark. Other schools have different hallmarks. Columbia is pretty good at international law, for example. Chicago is definitely good at econ and business law and corporate law. So that those are, I think that those are their strengths. But the entire first year curriculum is very good, and the professors are fabulous. Like even better than undergrad, I would say.
Okay, now switching gears more to get to know you, and our listeners and viewers would be interested. So, rapid fire round, let's just say. If you were to look at changes you wish to make or have made during this lockdown in the way you live, the way you think, the way you like to be as a person, any reflections, any thoughts, any advice would be useful.
I am honestly kind of enjoyed this lockdown. I got two uninterrupted months to finish all my stuff. I procrastinate a lot. I'm very easily distracted, and the lockdown has removed all those distractions for me. So I've kind of been good with it.
So this was for finishing all the coursework before
Yeah,
you graduate.
I had a lot of work, and I was like, I waste a lot of time in college and in law school, which doesn't go well for me. So it was good.
Okay. And any advice you would give people on how to work during the lockdown or improve, self-improve, or suggest changes?
I guess sit at a desk. I tend to sit on a bed and work a lot. It's not a good idea. Sit at a desk, set times for yourself, and try not to keep up with COVID news all the time. I used to do that in the beginning of the lockdown, where I was like a mini COVID expert. You don't need to go around that rabbit hole. It just leads to a dark and depressing place. And for people going to college, I would say that like even if you have to do a quarter or two remote, it won't be the end of the world. It's going to be fine.
Okay, now another question. If you were to pick three adjectives that describe your strength, which three words would you pick?
I think I'm a reasonably compassionate person. I'm very persistent, and I'm independent in the way that I think, which I think is a good thing sometimes in a high pressure college environment, because you don't want to get into everybody's herd mentality about everything.
Well said. And I think with that, we'd like to wrap up this session. So thank you, Shivani. It's been delightful to catch up with you. I always remember you being this person full of energy, and it's just refreshing to know that you're still pretty much like that. A lot more erudite, but definitely. So be in touch. I'd love to invite you to a panel. We have students interested in law, in history, and other social liberal arts and social sciences. So I'll send out a note on some of those events coming up soon. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.